Ever wonder why some people effortlessly win others over while you're stuck searching for the right words? Imagine having the tools to transform your interactions and build relationships that open new doors. Today, we're diving into a game-changing classic, How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie, a masterclass in connection, influence, and growth. Welcome to Mastering Me. Here, we help you become your best self by breaking down impactful books into bite-sized lessons. Hit subscribe, sit back, and let's unlock the secrets of success. Let's dive in. Have you ever been in a situation where someone criticized you in front of others? It stings, doesn't it? Criticism often makes us feel defensive or even embarrassed. Now, think about the last time you criticized someone. Did it inspire change, or did it create tension? Dale Carnegie's first principle is this: if you want to gather honey, don't kick over the beehive. Criticism damages trust and puts people on edge. Instead, focusing on solutions can build relationships and encourage growth. Sid is presenting his marketing strategy to Alex, his manager. Midway through the presentation, Alex points out an issue in the budget calculations. Instead of reacting defensively or making excuses, Sid smiles and says,
"Thanks for catching that, Alex. I'll make sure to fix it before our next meeting."
By calmly acknowledging the issue and focusing on a solution, Sid maintained trust and professionalism. Here's an interesting fact. Studies show that 85% of employees feel more motivated when feedback is framed positively. The takeaway? Avoid criticism. Focus on solutions instead. Imagine the last time someone genuinely appreciated your efforts. How did it feel? Encouraged? Respected? We all crave recognition. It's a fundamental human need. Carnegie's second principle reminds us to give honest and sincere appreciation, not flattery, but genuine acknowledgement of someone's efforts. It's late in the evening, and Sid notices Mia staying behind to finish a client presentation. She's been working tirelessly, but no one has acknowledged her dedication until Sid speaks up.
"Mia, I've noticed how much effort you're putting into this project. You're doing an amazing job, and it's making a huge difference."
Did you catch that? Sid's appreciation was specific and heartfelt, which made Mia feel seen and valued. Here's a fun fact. 69% of employees say they'd work harder if they felt their efforts were recognized. A simple acknowledgement can motivate someone to go above and beyond. So, remember, don't let good work go unnoticed. Take a moment to show genuine appreciation. Let's face it, most of us are focused on our own goals. But here's the trick. If you can align your goals with what someone else wants, you can inspire action without pushing or convincing. Carnegie's third principle is to arouse in the other person an eager want. Let's see how Sid applies this at work. Sid has a new project idea, but his manager, Alex, is hesitant. Instead of pushing his idea, Sid approaches it from Alex's perspective.
"Alex, this project could really showcase your strategic thinking. It's an amazing opportunity to highlight your leadership skills and make a lasting impact."
Notice what Sid did there? He reframed the project in a way that aligned with Alex's goals. Here's an interesting fact. Neuroscience shows that people are 10 times more likely to support ideas that align with their personal goals. So here's your takeaway. Frame your ideas around what others care about. That's how you inspire action. Let's start with a simple truth. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. Genuine interest in others isn't just polite, it's magnetic. Think about it. When someone takes an interest in your hobbies, dreams, or struggles, doesn't it feel amazing? That's because attention is a powerful form of respect. Carnegie's first principle in this part is, do this and you'll be welcome anywhere. Here's how Sid practiced this in his own life. One weekend, Sid met his neighbor, Sarah, who was tending to her front yard garden. Instead of rushing off, he stopped to chat.
"Your garden looks amazing, Sarah. How do you keep the roses so healthy? Tell me about it. I would love to know."
That one question sparked a 20-minute conversation. Here's an interesting fact. Research shows that when we show genuine interest in someone, their brain releases oxytocin, a chemical linked to trust and bonding. The takeaway? Build stronger relationships by taking a genuine interest in others. Let's move on to something so simple, yet so impactful, a smile. A smile says, I'm happy to see you. I value this moment. And most importantly, I'm approachable. Did you know that smiling not only makes you look more confident, but also releases dopamine, the happiness hormone? Carnegie's advice is clear, a simple way to make a good first impression. One morning, Sid walked into his office, and as he passed by Emma, he gave her a bright smile. Emma, who was feeling stressed about an upcoming deadline, immediately felt a bit lighter and smiled back. Sid didn't even say a word. Smiling isn't just about you. It's a gift to those around you, so wear it often. A person's name isn't just a label. It's the sweetest sound they'll ever hear. Remembering and using someone's name is a subtle but powerful way to show respect. Let's see how Sid turned a casual interaction into a meaningful connection. At the office holiday party, Sid met the building's janitor, Mr. Carter, for the first time. Instead of just saying hi, he asked for the man's name. The next day, Sid greeted him by name, and Mr. Carter's face lit up. That small gesture made him feel seen and appreciated. Fun fact, people are 33% more likely to remember you if you remember their name. The lesson? Don't underestimate the power of a name. It's a bridge to connection. Here's a question. Do you listen to understand, or do you listen to reply? Most of us are guilty of the latter. Carnegie's next principle is about flipping the focus, an easy way to become a good conversationalist. Listening isn't passive, it's an active way to show care. Let's see Sid put this into practice. At lunch, Emma started venting about a challenging client. Instead of jumping in with advice, Sid leaned forward and listened attentively. By letting Emma share her frustrations without interruption, Sid created a safe space for her to feel heard. By the end of lunch, she felt lighter and even thanked him for just listening. Studies show that people rank being listened to as one of the most appreciated acts in any relationship. So remember, be the kind of listener who makes people feel valued. Everyone has their own passions and priorities, and when you speak to those, you create instant rapport. Carnegie's principle here is to talk in terms of the other person's interests. Here's how Sid used this technique in a client meeting. Sid was preparing to pitch a new product to a client named James, who loved technology. Instead of starting with features, Sid began with what mattered to James.
This new tool can seamlessly automate your workflows, freeing up time for you to focus on what really matters: innovation.
By framing his pitch around the client's priorities, Sid got their full attention and enthusiasm. Fun fact, studies show that people are 60% more likely to engage when the conversation is about their interests. The takeaway? Speak to what matters most to others. Carnegie's final principle in this part is the most profound. Make others feel important, and do it sincerely. When people feel valued, they'll go the extra mile for you. Here's how Sid made a difference for someone unexpected. At the end of the week, Sid left a thank you note for Mr. Carter, the janitor, appreciating his hard work. When Mr. Carter found the note, he smiled and kept it on his desk. That small gesture made him feel valued, and it didn't cost Sid anything but a few moments of thoughtfulness. Here's an interesting fact. Recognition boosts self-esteem and productivity, no matter how small the gesture. So remember, make people feel important, but always do it sincerely. Have you ever argued with someone thinking you'd win by proving them wrong, only to find that both of you walked away feeling frustrated? The truth is, no one really wins an argument. It only creates resentment. Carnegie's principle here is clear. You can't win an argument. Instead of arguing, seek understanding and build bridges of agreement. Let's see how Sid applied this idea. Sid was in a meeting where Alex disagreed with his marketing plan. Alex's tone was firm. and the discussion could have easily turned into a heated debate. But Sid chose a different path.
I see your point, Alex. Let's explore how we can combine your perspective with the initial idea to find the best solution.
By acknowledging Alex's viewpoint, Sid diffused the tension and turned the conversation into a collaborative effort. Here's an interesting fact. Studies show that when people feel heard, they're 70% more likely to engage constructively. The takeaway? Avoid arguments. Aim for understanding and collaboration instead. Let's face it, nobody likes being told they're wrong. It bruises egos, builds resentment, and often creates unnecessary conflict. Carnegie's principle here is a sure way of making enemies and how to avoid it. Instead of insisting on who's right or wrong, acknowledge the other person's perspective first. Let's see how Sid applied this at work. Sid and Alex were reviewing a marketing report. Alex disagreed with one of Sid's conclusions, but instead of pushing back, Sid acknowledged Alex's perspective.
Bring up a great point, Alex. I hadn't considered that angle. Let's explore it further.
By validating Alex's viewpoint, Sid avoided conflict and opened the door for constructive dialogue. Fun fact, studies show that validating someone's opinion makes them 40% more likely to listen to yours. The takeaway? Never insist on being right. Acknowledge others' perspectives to build understanding. Let's talk about a counterintuitive truth. Admitting your mistakes can actually strengthen relationships. Why? Because it shows humility and builds trust. Carnegie's principle here is, if you're wrong, admit it. A sincere admission of guilt often disarms criticism and fosters respect. Let's see how Sid handled a tough situation. Sid accidentally overlooked an important detail in a client presentation, leading to confusion during a meeting. Instead of deflecting blame, Sid addressed the mistake directly.
I made a mistake in preparing this slide, and I take full responsibility. Let me fix it for the follow-up.
By owning up to his error, Sid turned a potentially embarrassing moment into an opportunity to demonstrate accountability. The lesson? Admitting when you're wrong isn't a weakness. It's a strength that builds credibility. Imagine someone criticizing you harshly versus someone gently pointing out a mistake. Which would you respond to better? A little kindness goes a long way. Carnegie's principle here is a drop of honey. Approach others with warmth and kindness to open doors to agreement. Let's see how Sid applied this. Emma, Sid's colleague, missed a crucial deadline. Instead of being harsh, Sid approached her with understanding. By starting with kindness, Sid created a safe space for Emma to explain and fix the issue without feeling defensive. Here's an interesting fact. Kindness triggers dopamine in the brain, making people more receptive to feedback. The lesson? Lead with kindness. It softens even the toughest conversations. Let's talk about how to set the tone for agreement. People are naturally resistant when they feel cornered into saying no. But if you can get them to say yes early on, even to small things, they're more likely to stay open to your ideas. Carnegie's principle here is, get the other person saying yes, yes immediately. When you begin with shared agreement, you create momentum for collaboration. Let's see how Sid put this into practice. Sid was discussing a new workflow proposal with his colleague, Sarah, who was skeptical about making changes. Instead of diving straight into the details, Sid began with a few simple, agreeable questions.
Sarah, wouldn't you agree that we all want to save time and make our processes easier?
Sarah nodded, saying, "Of course." From there, Sid continued building agreement with small, logical questions, keeping the conversation positive and collaborative. By the time Sid introduced the new workflow, Sarah was already aligned with the underlying goals and much more receptive to the idea. Fun fact, psychologists call this the yes ladder. Starting with simple agreements helps build trust and makes people more open to your suggestions. The takeaway? Start with common ground and small yeses to pave the way for bigger agreements. People want to feel heard, especially when they're upset. Ignoring complaints only fuels frustration. Carnegie's principle here is the safety valve in handling complaints. Let them vent. Let's see how Sid handled a frustrated client. During a phone call, a client complained about a delay in service. Instead of interrupting or defending the issue, Sid simply listened and let the client express their frustration. Once the client finished, Sid acknowledged their feelings and calmly offered a solution. By giving the client space to vent, Sid diffused the situation and regained their trust. Here's an interesting fact. Allowing someone to express their frustration can reduce their emotional intensity by up to 50%. The lesson? Let people vent. It's the first step to resolving conflict. Do you know what happens when people feel forced into something? They resist, even when they secretly agree with you. That's why Carnegie's principle is how to get cooperation. Instead of giving orders, seek input and create a sense of partnership. Here's how Sid applied this principle with his colleague, Sarah. Sarah was struggling to adapt to a new workflow. Instead of instructing her on what to do, Sid asked for her perspective.
Sarah, what steps do you think would really make this process easier for the team?
Sarah shared her thoughts, and together, they created a revised workflow that worked better for everyone. The takeaway? Inspire cooperation by making others feel like partners, not subordinates. Everyone has a deep need to feel understood. Carnegie's principle is a formula that will work wonders for you. And that formula is empathy, showing others that you truly understand their perspective. Let's see how Sid used this principle during a tough client interaction. James, a client, was upset about a delivery delay. Instead of defending the situation, Sid empathized with his frustration.
James, I completely understand how frustrating this must be for you. If I were in your position, I'd feel the exact same way.
Here's an interesting fact. Empathy not only builds trust, but also reduces conflict by 40%. The lesson? Practice empathy. It's the key to building understanding. Think about the last time someone genuinely appreciated you. How did it make you feel? Respected? Valued? That's because what everybody wants is a sense of importance. Carnegie's principle is to show others their value. Let's see how Sid did this with his teammate Alex. During a team meeting, Sid took a moment to recognize Alex's contribution to a recent project.
Alex, your insights truly shaped the success of this project. We couldn't have done it without you.
Alex's face lit up, and his confidence soared. Recognizing someone's worth isn't just kind, it's transformative. Fun fact: recognition increases productivity by 31% because it makes people feel motivated and valued. The takeaway? Never miss a chance to show someone their value. Here's a universal truth. People respond better to positive reinforcement than criticism. Carnegie's principle is an appeal that everybody likes. Appeal to the best in people, and they'll rise to meet your expectations. Let's see how Sid used this during a team project. Emma, a team member, was falling behind on her tasks. Instead of pointing out her delays, Sid appealed to her strengths.
Emma, you always bring great attention to detail. I know we can count on you to make this project shine.
Emma smiled and immediately refocused her efforts. Positive reinforcement is a powerful motivator. Fun fact: encouragement improves performance by 25% compared to criticism. The lesson? Highlight people's strengths to inspire their best work. Think about the last time a story or visual really captivated you. That's because humans are wired for stories and drama. Carnegie's principle is, the movies do it. TV does it. Why don't you? Bring your ideas to life with creativity and drama. Let's see how Sid brought this to a team presentation. Sid was presenting a new marketing strategy. Instead of relying on slides, he shared a short animated video demonstrating how the campaign would look. The team was immediately engaged, and the project got unanimous approval. Fun fact: people remember 65% more information when it's presented visually. The takeaway? Add creativity and storytelling to your presentations for maximum impact. Sometimes the best way to motivate someone is through a challenge. Carnegie's final principle in this part is, when nothing else works, try this. A challenge excites curiosity, fuels competition, and inspires action. Let's see how Sid used this during a sales meeting. Sid introduced a friendly contest to motivate his team. Whoever closed the most deals by the end of the month would win a gift card. The team immediately became energized and focused, turning a slow month into a record-breaking one. Fun fact, challenges increase motivation and engagement by up to 50%. The lesson? When all else fails, throw down a challenge to spark action. Let's face it, none of us like being criticized, especially when it comes out of the blue. But there's a way to address mistakes without damaging trust. Start with praise. Carnegie's principle here is, if you must find fault, this is the way to begin. Leading with appreciation softens the blow and makes constructive feedback easier to accept. Here's how Sid put this into practice at work. One day, Sid noticed Emma had made an error in a client presentation. Instead of calling her out immediately, Sid started with something positive.
Emma, your creativity really made this presentation stand out. There's just one small detail in the numbers we should double-check.
By starting with praise, Sid made Emma feel valued and open to correcting the mistake. The lesson? Always start with what someone did right before addressing what went wrong. Have you ever been on the receiving end of harsh criticism? It's tough, isn't it? But when feedback is wrapped in kindness, it becomes a tool for growth rather than resentment. Carnegie's principle is how to criticize and not be hated for it. Use constructive language that focuses on improvement, not blame. Sid needed to address Alex's habit of missing deadlines. Instead of being blunt, Sid approached the conversation with empathy.
Alex, I really appreciate how much effort you've been putting in. Let's work together to create a system that keeps everything on track.
By framing the feedback as teamwork, Sid maintained trust while encouraging change. Here's an interesting fact. Constructive criticism is 20% more effective when delivered with empathy. The takeaway? Criticize in a way that uplifts rather than alienates. Want to make your feedback more relatable? Share your own mistakes first. It shows humility and makes others more receptive to learning. Carnegie's principle is, talk about your own mistakes first. Let's see how Sid used this approach with his team. Sid was discussing quality control with his team. Before pointing out a recent error, he shared his own experience.
I've overlooked details like this before, and it really taught me how important double-checking can be.
By leading with vulnerability, Sid created a safe space for the team to accept and learn from their mistakes. The lesson? Share your missteps to inspire growth in others. Think about the last time someone ordered you to do something. How did it make you feel? Defensive? Resentful? Nobody likes being told what to do. It's human nature. Carnegie's principle is, nobody likes to take orders. Instead of giving commands, ask for input or suggestions. This simple shift builds respect and fosters cooperation. Let's see how Sid used this principle with his colleague, Sarah. Sarah was struggling with a task, and Sid needed her to pivot quickly. Instead of ordering her to make changes, he approached her with a question.
Sarah, what do you think would be the best way to address this issue?
By involving Sarah in the decision-making process, Sid not only got her buy-in, but also made her feel respected and valued. The takeaway? Ask, don't command. It's the key to inspiring collaboration. Embarrassment damages trust, especially in professional settings. Carnegie's advice is simple. Let the other person save face. Protecting someone's dignity shows respect and strengthens relationships. Sid noticed James, his colleague, had made a mistake in front of a client. Instead of correcting him publicly, Sid waited until they were alone.
Don't worry about earlier. These things happen to all of us. Let's tackle it together in the follow-up.
By handling the situation privately, Sid preserved James's confidence and trust. Fun fact, people are more likely to admit their mistakes when they don't feel humiliated. The lesson? Always protect the dignity of others. Everyone thrives on encouragement, especially when trying something new or challenging. Carnegie's principle is how to spur people on to success. Recognizing progress, no matter how small, can inspire people to keep going. Let's see how Sid practiced this principle with his team. Emma had been hesitant to take on a leadership role in a new project. When she successfully completed her first milestone, Sid made sure to celebrate her achievement.
Emma, your attention to detail really made this first phase a success, and you're doing an incredible job.
That recognition boosted Emma's confidence and motivated her to tackle the next challenge with even more determination. Fun fact, frequent recognition increases productivity by 31% because it boosts confidence and morale. The takeaway? Celebrate progress. It's the fuel for success. Have you ever noticed how people rise to meet the expectations you set for them? Carnegie's principle is, give the dog a good name. When you assign a positive identity to someone, they strive to live up to it. Let's see how Sid applied this principle with Alex. Alex was known for missing deadlines, but Sid reframed his role during a team meeting.
Alex, you've always been great at managing tight schedules. Can we count on you to lead this project to completion?
Alex, inspired by Sid's confidence in him, made sure to deliver on time. The takeaway? Highlight strengths to inspire accountability and excellence. When faced with criticism, people often feel overwhelmed and defeated. Carnegie's principle is, make the fault seem easy to correct. By framing challenges as manageable, you empower people to take action. Here's how Sid used this approach with Sarah. Sarah struggled with a report riddled with errors. Instead of criticizing her, Sid offered encouragement.
Sarah, this report has great content, and with just a few small tweaks, it'll be perfect.
By framing the feedback positively, Sid motivated Sarah to make corrections without feeling discouraged. The lesson? Frame feedback as achievable. It inspires action. Getting someone to do something isn't just about persuasion, it's about making them feel good about doing it. Carnegie's principle is, make people glad to do what you want. This means showing appreciation, making the request reasonable, and framing it in a way that highlights mutual benefits. Let's see how Sid used this with his colleague, Alex. Alex was already swamped with tasks when Sid asked him to handle an urgent report. Instead of demanding it, Sid approached Alex with thoughtfulness.
Alex, I know you're juggling a lot, and I really appreciate your dedication. If you could take on this report, it'd mean so much to the team.
By expressing gratitude, explaining the importance, and offering support, Sid made Alex feel valued and motivated to step up. Fun fact, people are 70% more likely to agree to requests when they feel appreciated and supported. The lesson? Show gratitude, make the request reasonable, and highlight how it benefits everyone involved. Over the past few minutes, we've explored powerful principles that can transform your relationships, your leadership, and ultimately, your life. But here's the thing, watching this video is just the beginning. The real change happens when you apply these ideas in your daily life. And if you're ready to dive even deeper, to truly master the art of human connection, then you need to read this book. How to Win Friends and Influence People is packed with even more insights, real-life examples, and proven strategies that will take your communication skills to the next level. If you're interested, you'll find the link to grab your own copy in the description below. Invest in yourself, because that's the best investment you'll ever make. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon. Until next time, keep growing, keep connecting, and keep mastering you.